Jerome is such a crucial piece to what this Cavs team can do. And you see it on days like today where he gets a full chance to shine. I think Ty had about 30 points in about half a game versus the Pelicans. Now, this game versus the Pelicans, there's only so much you could take away from it, right? The Cavs bounced back after a rough back to back, playing Boston the night before in a tough, very emotional game, not being able to win that, having your win streak broken. Then you come into this game and you have to play the Pelicans. Pelicans don't have any starters, so that does help you out. And the Cavs did exactly what they're supposed to do versus a team like the Pelicans, and they beat them by 30 points. What I like about how Kenny Atkinson operated in this game is how he understood where his team would be at and made some proactive steps early to make sure that they don't fall into any kind of a lull or a trap. One of the things was randomly starting Jason Tyson, right? Like giving him a start, his first start in his NBA career, knowing that, okay, he's going to bring some energy. He played Luke Travers very early, knowing he's going to played a lot of the bench guys, knowing that those guys were going to give you energy on a back-to-back like this. And that's exactly what happened. But let's kind of circle back to Ty Jerome. Because yes, when Ty Jerome can go on a heater like he had in this game and go 7 and 11 for three, and do all of that offensively, obviously that's a very good thing for this team. The more you can get that from Ty Jerome, the better. But also what Ty Jerome provides is what he can do when you don't ask him to score a ton of points. And I think the versatility of Ty Jerome, the fact that he can start if you need him to start, he can come off the bench, it just gives the Cavs this added layer of flexibility that they desperately needed. Think about something like tonight, right? Darius Garland did not play. Now, it was for a hamstring injury. If you watch last night's game versus the Celtics, you could tell that Darius Garland was obviously very tired. So it was likely that he wasn't going to play in this game just off of him being that tired, that fatigued. His jumper wasn't going. And to be fair to Darius, I know a lot of people love to be unfair to Darius, but to be fair to Darius, he put up 20 like the whole 2 weeks beforehand. So he got tired by the time you got to that Boston game. And he had 20 in a big game versus the Golden State Warriors. But he gets tired, but it doesn't really matter. You could put Ty Jerome in and start him in your backcourt and you'll be okay. You're not going to have to worry about that, right? Because Ty Jerome, on top of being somebody who could facilitate, on top of being a pretty solid defender for a guard, and on top of being somebody who can make catch and shoot threes, he's also somebody who can get some buckets when you need him to, right? The bench scoring, when Ty Jerome has to come off the bench, it's not all reliant on what Karis LeVert can do, right? I think Ty Jerome actually helps Karis LeVert get better. That's a huge part of this, having somebody who can facilitate and hold the spot down. Early on in Ty Jerome's run, people were comparing him and his start to Ricky Rubio. And I think that was fair at the start of it, right? Because what he was really doing well was facilitating, was managing the game, managing pace, getting the ball to the right person, making a couple shots here and there, getting a bucket here and there, right? Like a solid 10-point, 4-assist guy off the bench. And that's exactly what you signed Ty Jerome to be. But now that he's demonstrated this multiple times, and again, I'm not going to get too excited off what he did versus the Pelicans alone and say that he's going to be like a 20-point per game scorer. But what he has demonstrated is that he can get hot enough from three on multiple occasions to get you up to 20 or 20 plus points, right? And when you have that as an option, you can space the floor real easy. Since he's 6'5" and can defend pretty well, right? He's not a liability on defense. You can play him in a bunch of different lineups. Like if you have Donovan Mitchell out there and you want to keep him on the floor, you can have him out there with him. You can also have Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell on the floor at the same time and still keep Ty Jerome out there and play play him as a smaller wing player since he is 6'5". Like the size that he has and his defensive ability and his ability to make shots really adds something to this team. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Max Strus comes back, because that's going to be the person who you would think takes a ton of minutes from Ty Jerome, because essentially they're there to do the same thing. Ty Jerome is kind of that hybrid combo guard, right? He can do a little bit of facilitating, but he's really somebody who could play some defense at the perimeter and make some three-point shots. Ty Jerome's a little bit different because you can slide him in at the one a little bit more often than you can slide Max Strus at the one. So you have a couple of options on how you can operate once Max Strus comes back. And I think part of why you haven't felt Max Strus being hurt or Sam Merrill being hurt or even like Isaac Okoro being hurt outside the Boston game is the impact that Ty Jerome has had being able to fill all three of those roles. He allows your depth players to be better, right? I think a second unit with Ty Jerome and Karis LeVert, that's been a very successful endeavor for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's just the secret weapon. Like, he can make a lot of different things happen. He makes your second units make sense. He gives you added flexibility. Last year when the Cavs had to go to these injured starting lineups, they were awful all the time. Now, some of that's Kenny Atkinson knowing how to put the pieces in place a little bit better than JB Bickerstaff, no doubt. But some of this is just Ty Jerome allowing these fits to work a lot better because of what he provides you, right? And then that doesn't even consider what his shooting ability, his facilitating ability, and his defensive ability does to open up the game for your two bigs and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. We're getting to the point with Ty Jerome where it's not just going to be fun anymore, right? Like, we having fun with it right now. We're doing the memes, but he's played so well, so consistently, it's going to get to the point to where we got to start asking ourselves, how much is it going to cost to re-sign Ty? Because I love where this Cavs team is going. I think they have real potential to be more than just a fun and good regular season team. But I think Ty Jerome might be a part of that recipe for the next couple of years. And he's playing at such a high level. He's going to be sixth man of the year if he keeps playing like this. You don't want it to get the free agency where the market for him is going to shoot up. You want to get this deal done with Ty while he's still wearing the wine and gold. So I'm starting to wonder, like, at what point does Kobe Altman get into that locker room and start talking contract with Ty Jerome or an extension with Ty Jerome, right? Like, that would be a big move for this team because Ty really does help you get the most out of Karis. I'm interested to see how the fit's going to be when Max Strus comes back, right? I find it hard to imagine after everything that Ty has done in the first 15, 16 games of the season, 17 games, my bad. The Cavs are 16-1. I find it hard to believe that after all of this, Max Strus gonna come back and his minutes gonna get diminished. Like, I don't think that's gonna be the case. I think that you're gonna have to find a way to put Ty out there, and you're gonna want to also bring back Max Strus. And this is why it is a good thing that the Cavs change coaches, because I trust Kenny Atkinson to figure that out a lot more than I trust JB, who quite honestly struggled in situations like this to figure out how to reincorporate people into the lineup when they're hot, when they're cold. It was not a major strength of JB Bickerstaff in this moment. So Ty Jerome, he is absolutely the secret piece that kind of keeps this going, right? Like, we talk about how Jared Allen is a garbage man, and Jared Allen, he did garbage man things in this game. Shout out to him. But Ty Jerome, he really does kind of put the connective tissue for this team together to allow them to do a lot of the different things. This Cavs team just has pieces, man. My bad, I mispronounced his name earlier. Jalen Tyson, the Cavs' first-round pick. Thought he showed some promise, had some really good defensive moments in this game. Offensively, he was nice and efficient, right? Made a couple of threes. How many threes did he make in this game? He was 1 of 4 from three. But I thought he was really efficient when he was attacking the hoop. Had a nice little dunk, tried to posterize somebody. Clearly, still a rookie. Don't know what you kind of take from him after this one. Like, I'm not about to go get carried away, say he's like gonna be amazing or something like that. He's a rookie. He will get more time and play more as his career progresses. And on a team like the Cavs, he's not gonna have that much time in year one to play. But 6'6", 215, play some decent defense. Thought he crashed the hoop pretty well too. George Niang was hooping in this one. We got to talk about it, man. George Niang is actually hooping. Like, actually hooping. I know George Niang was probably the most hated player on the Cavs last year, but he's giving you a clean, 49 from the field, 8 points, 3 rebounds a night. Like, Georges has definitely been a positive, like a net positive to this team. Was 6 of 12 from 3 in this game. Thought that was impressive here. And the other thing in this game that I love, and again, look, the Pelicans starting lineup was crazy. Okay, like the Cavs should have won this game by 30, and they did. But they were starting Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Yves Missy, Brandon Boston Jr., Elfrid Payton, and Javonte Green. I'm not gonna lie, the only player I knew coming into this game was Elfrid Payton. And then they said on the broadcast that he got signed 2 hours before this game. So, yeah, they're in a dark place right now, the Pelicans. They got a ton of injuries going on with the Pelicans right now. Like, it don't feel like they're trying to be competitive right now, if I'm being honest with you. So you thought you were going to see the Cavs be able to dominate like this. But I've seen so many Cavs teams be in a situation like this where they should dominate, but they don't dominate. And then we're sitting here with the win, but kind of frustrated. It's just nice to see them not only do what they have to do, but allow Donovan Mitchell to take it very light. He only took 10 shots today. He only played 20 minutes. Evan Mobley only had to play 18 minutes. Jared Allen only played 21. Even Ty Jerome got most of the night off. He only played 23 minutes, right? Like, none of your main rotation players went over 25 minutes in this game, which means the Cavs going into a period where they're going to have 3 days off also get a half game essentially versus the Pelicans. So now they're going to be able to finally get that break, because the Cavs have played so many games in such little time. They played 17 games in this young NBA season. Clearly, they've won all but one of those 17 games so far. But they played a lot, right? Like, they've played 3 more games than Boston. They played the most games in the NBA at this point at November 20th. So they played a ton of games so far. They're finally going to get a 3-day break. And you could look at this a number of different ways, what the Cavs are doing. I know some people have chosen to be cynical about it and say, oh, the Cavs have done this during the easy part of their schedule. But the Cavs have also done this in a part of their schedule where their games were just jammed packed on top of each other. And we've seen how that can create a situation where a team struggles more than they're supposed to. But now they're out of that stretch. They actually get time in between games, or at least a little bit more time in between games. And yeah, they're going to play teams like Denver. They're going to play teams like Boston again. They're going to play Golden State, LA. Like, they're going to have tougher stretches as far as their schedule goes. But their rest isn't going to be as crazy as it's been with the Cavs over this start to the season. So I think this 3-day break's what they need. Clearly, the Cavs are having a little bit of trouble staying healthy right now. They come back against the Toronto Raptors on Sunday, and then they get a couple days off, get to play the Atlanta Hawks, and then they come back and play Atlanta in Atlanta again. So they get a little bit of a break here. Only 3 games left in November after tonight. Cavs finished strong. Cavs win by 30. I like what I saw. Good bounce back. Ty Jerome, got to start talking about an extension. It's going to get to that point sooner than later.